They built 80 houses on my land, not by mistake, but on purpose. I came back to my grandfather's ranch in Montana after 3 years, and my open pasture, the same field where I learned to ride horses, was now a luxury subdivision. Paved streets, streetlights, families moving into houses that cost $500,000 each. When I stopped to ask what was going on, the HOA president, a woman named Gloria Kensington, dripping in diamonds and arrogance, told me I was a trespasser. She called me a washed-up ranch hand and said their lawyer confirmed the land was abandoned. Then she smiled and said, "People like you don't win against people like us." That was the moment I decided she had no idea who she was dealing with. So I did the smartest thing I've ever done. Absolutely nothing. I let them keep building, let them pour their concrete, plant their lawns, and move families into homes they didn't even own. Because I was holding something they never saw coming. The original deed. Now tell me, what would you do if someone built a neighborhood on your land? Would you fight back or walk away? Drop your state below. Let's see where my land rights family is watching from. And hit that subscribe button if you believe regular people should never let the rich steal what's theirs. This is my story. How the HOA built 80 homes on my ranch, and how I took every one of them back. I inherited 40 acres of land in Montana from my grandfather, Samuel Walker. Paid off, fenced, and quiet. A piece of heaven tucked between the pines of Summit Creek Valley. For years, I promised I'd go back to build a cabin there, scatter his ashes, and maybe start over after the divorce. But life got loud. 2 kids, long shifts at the fire department, alimony, and bills that never stopped showing up. 3 years slipped away before I finally made the drive back. The road I remembered was gone. Where the dirt trail used to be, there was now a smooth blacktop with a carved stone sign that read, "Silver Ridge Estates, an eco-living community." Past that gate, my pastures were gone, replaced by rows of identical beige mansions, 80 of them, kids playing in driveways, lawn sprinklers hissing, delivery trucks unloading furniture. My stomach dropped. I checked my GPS twice, then a third time. Same coordinates. Same land my granddad worked with his bare hands. At the gate, a guard stepped out of a booth and asked for my resident pass. "I am the owner," I said, showing him a photo of the deed on my phone. He laughed, actually laughed, and told me to turn around. Before I could say another word, a white Lexus SUV rolled up. Out stepped a woman in a crisp cream suit, diamond necklace flashing in the sun. "Problem, Rick?" she asked, not even looking at me. "Ma'am, this gentleman says he owns the property." She finally turned my way, giving me the kind of look you give a fly on your dinner plate. "Sweetheart," she said, "I don't know what scam you're running, but this is private property." We bought this land fair and square. I told her my name, Ethan Walker, and that the land had been in my family since 1973. She tilted her head and smiled like a teacher humoring a slow student. "Abandoned land, Mr. Walker. 3 years with no owner activity. Legally ours under Montana Code 70-19-404. She even quoted the law like she'd practiced it in front of a mirror. Then she handed me a business card that gleamed in the sunlight. Gloria Kensington, President, Silver Ridge HOA and Kensington Development Group. "Now," she added sweetly, "if you don't leave, I'll have to call Sheriff Davis. We're big supporters of his re-election campaign, so he tends to answer quick." I froze. My grandfather's land, my name on the deed, and this woman was threatening to arrest me for standing on it. Then she pulled out her phone and took a photo of my license plate. "Just in case you come back to vandalize anything," she said, that smile never slipping. "People like you never win against people like us." As I drove away, hands shaking on the steering wheel, I caught the smell of fresh asphalt and pine smoke. I remembered Grandpa's voice in my head. "Don't ever let the bastards take what's yours." That night, I spread every old document across my kitchen table. The 1973 deed, 40 years of tax receipts, every map he ever drew. Gloria had no idea what she'd just started. Because the next morning, I decided I wouldn't stop her. I'd let her finish, and then I'd take everything back. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the sign, Silver Ridge Estates, 80 homes, fences, lawns, families, all standing on what used to be my grandfather's pasture. By sunrise, I'd pulled out every box from storage, yellowed property maps, hand-signed tax receipts, and the original title my granddad filed back in 1973. The man was meticulous. He paid taxes every single year, and I had the county receipts to prove it. But I knew I was out of my depth, so I started calling lawyers. 4 hung up as soon as I mentioned HOA. One laughed and said, "Son, developers like that don't lose." Then a buddy from the firehouse texted me a name, Marianne Porter. Said she once bankrupted a mining company that tried to steal tribal land. Her consultation fee alone was $600. Money I didn't really have, but I made the drive anyway. Her office smelled like coffee and old leather. She looked like she'd been born in a courtroom. Gray hair, sharp glasses, zero small talk. I told her everything. The drive, the guard, Gloria's smirk. She listened quietly, scribbling notes with handwriting so perfect it looked typed. When I finished, she looked up and said, "Show me your tax records." I handed over the stack. She scanned the pages, flipped a few, and leaned back. "Good. You've been paying every year. That kills their adverse possession claim on arrival, so I can stop them," I asked. "You could," she said slowly, "but you won't." I frowned. "Excuse me?" She folded her glasses and set them on the desk. "If you stop construction now, Gloria's company declares bankruptcy. The land gets tangled up in lawsuits with 80 families suing everyone in sight, including you. 3 years of chaos. Nobody wins, so what do I do?" "You let them finish," she said. "Every nail, every roof, every driveway. Then we file a declaratory judgment with the original deed and tax proof. You don't just win, you own every house they built." It was cold, ruthless, and brilliant. My stomach twisted as I nodded. "How much will it cost?" 40 to 50,000, she said. "But when we win, the court forces them to pay it all back. Plus damages, I had 12 grand in savings and a truck that needed new brakes." But I heard my grandfather's voice again. "Don't let the bastards take what's yours." I signed her retainer right there. Marianne's last words before I left still ring in my ears. Don't confront her. Don't post online. In property fights, surprise is worth more than gold. For the next 3 months, I watched from the sidelines as Gloria built her empire, and I documented everything. I parked on public roads, taking time-stamped videos as construction crews swarmed like ants. But Gloria noticed me. One afternoon, she called the sheriff. A young deputy knocked on my truck window and said, "Sir, Mrs. Kensington says you're harassing her residents." I laughed. "This is my land," he shrugged, clearly uncomfortable. "If she calls again, I'll have to take action." She's close with the sheriff. That night, I found a Facebook post titled, "Warning, Stalker Seen Near Silver Ridge Estates." My name, my photo, my truck. The comments were full of people calling me a creep, a trespasser, even a criminal. I realized what Gloria was doing. She wasn't just stealing my land. She was trying to destroy me. The next morning, my daughter called crying. "Dad, did you really get arrested for spying on families?" When my daughter called that morning, I could barely speak. Her voice was shaking. "Dad, there's a post about you all over Facebook. They're saying you've been following people. It has pictures of your truck." My stomach turned to stone. I opened my phone, and there it was. The Silver Ridge HOA page, run by none other than Gloria Kensington. She'd posted a photo of my Silverado parked near the gate with the caption, "Be aware. A man claiming ownership of Silver Ridge Estates has been spotted photographing children and homes. Sheriff notified. Protect your families." Over 100 shares in 1 hour. Neighbors I didn't even know were calling me a threat, a squatter, even a predator. Someone had circled my license plate in red. By lunchtime, my boss pulled me into his office. He looked uncomfortable, like he'd been rehearsing bad news. "Ethan," he said, "the city project board saw that Facebook post. Until this gets cleared up, we have to suspend you. Optics, you know. I'd given that company 15 years, just like that, gone. That night, someone spray-painted thief across my garage door. I filed a police report, but the officer barely wrote it down. Probably kids," he said. "Yeah, kids with a $40 can of industrial enamel and a grudge." I called Marianne. "She's destroying me. I've lost my job. My daughter's scared to go online." "Good," she said calmly. "Good? It means she's running out of moves. Desperate people start swinging wild." Then she lowered her voice. "And I've got something." The next day, I met her at her office. She slid a printed email across the table, corporate header, time-stamped, signed by Gloria's husband, Philip Kensington, CEO of Kensington Development. The subject line read, "Summit Creekland, Risk Assessment." The email said they'd confirmed I was still paying property taxes and that adverse possession won't hold up, but they could bury him in litigation until he folds. It even said, "Same strategy as the Mesa project. Settle later, build first." My hands were shaking. "This is proof," I said. "They knew." Marianne nodded. "We'll file this in court, but not yet." Timing is everything. 2 days later, I got a certified letter from Gloria's lawyer. He was offering me $20,000 to sign a quitclaim deed, basically giving up ownership. "Shtakaki, tell him to go to hell," Marianne said. "We're going to bury them with their own paperwork." But Gloria wasn't done. The next week, my son's college roommate texted him a photo, a screenshot from Facebook. Someone was claiming my family had a history of fraud, and right under it, a comment from Gloria herself. "Sad when people can't accept change." Then things got worse. A black SUV followed me home one night, parked 2 houses down. No plates. It stayed there for almost an hour. The next morning, a plain white envelope sat on my porch. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed in bold, all caps. "Drop it or lose everything." I looked up, heart pounding, scanning the street. The SUV was gone, but the fight was just getting started. Because the next morning, Marianne called with a voice that sounded almost like a smile. "Pack a clean shirt, Ethan. We're taking them to court day. 8 months since I first drove down that blacktop and saw strangers living on my land. I wore the only suit I owned, the same one from my daughter's graduation. Marianne looked like she'd stepped out of a legal drama, navy suit, calm eyes, a storm hiding behind them. Gloria arrived in a pearl-white pantsuit and designer heels, pretending not to notice me. Beside her, her husband Philip and their attorney looked smug, like this was just another nuisance case they'd pay to make disappear. They had no idea what was waiting. When the judge entered, the courtroom went silent. Case: Walker versus Kensington Development and Silver Ridge HOA. Marianne started slow. Your Honor, this isn't a mistake. This was a plan. She held up the printed email, the one signed by Philip Kensington. It said, "We know the land is still owned by the Walker family, but if we move fast, we can build before anyone notices." The judge read it. Her expression didn't change, but the air in that room shifted. Philip's lawyer tried to object, but it was useless. The timestamp was undeniable. Then Marianne dropped the second bomb. Bank records showing a $50,000 bribe paid to the county zoning office, approved directly by Gloria's signature. I watched Gloria's face go pale. That perfect smile she wore like armor cracked for the first time. Marianne's voice never wavered. "These people didn't make a clerical error," she said. "They built 80 homes on stolen land, then tried to destroy the man who owned it." The judge leaned forward. "Mr. Walker, do you still have proof of ownership?" I stood, hands shaking slightly, and held up the original 1973 deed my grandfather signed. "Right here, Your Honor. 40 acres, Summit Creek Valley. Never sold, never transferred. Taxes paid in full." The judge's gavel hit the bench once. "Motion to dismiss denied. Title restored to Mr. Walker. All assets of Kensington Development are hereby frozen pending criminal review." Gasps filled the courtroom. Gloria slumped in her chair. Philip whispered something to his lawyer, but it didn't matter. The war was over. After court, Marianne turned to me with a small, tired smile. "You didn't just win, Ethan. You made sure they can't do this to anyone else." A month later, I was the legal owner of all 80 houses, every last one, and I had a choice: sell everything and walk away with millions, or do something my grandfather would have been proud of. So I gathered all the homeowners at the clubhouse Gloria never finished. Nervous faces, families clutching paperwork. I stood on that stage and said, "You all bought these homes in good faith. You were lied to, same as me. I'm giving you what you already paid for, your homes." Free and clear. The room went silent, then erupted into applause. People cried. One man hugged me so hard I almost fell over. That night, I went back to the north edge of the ranch, kept 5 acres for myself, and built a small cabin under the old pines. Now, I wake up to the sound of wind through the trees and coffee on the porch, where my grandfather once stood. His words echo every morning. "Don't let the bastards take what's yours." Turns out justice can grow back stronger than anything money can build. So here's my question to you. What would you do if someone built an entire neighborhood on your land? Would you fight back or walk away? Drop your state in the comments. Let's see where my land rights family is watching from. And if you believe that ordinary people can still win against corruption, hit that subscribe button. Because next week, the city tried to shut down my new business, so I found the one law that made me untouchable. See you then. And remember, keep your receipts. All of them.